You know that feeling? You might be standing in a room with two people who both look like absolute models, yet you only feel a real spark with one of them. Why is that? Why are we sometimes powerfully drawn to one person, but feel literally nothing for another? It's a reality that completely shatters the idea that attraction is just this surface-level visual thing. There is a whole psychological undercurrent at play here, driving those unspoken connections.
So, here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the myth of pure attraction. Number 2, foundation, safety and trust. Number 3, the power of being understood. Number 4, true confidence versus arrogance. And finally, number 5, emotion transforms physical attraction.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the myth of pure attraction.
Before we can truly figure out what drives desire, we have to debunk a wildly limiting assumption: the idea that women's desire is driven mostly by physical appearance. Psychology actually paints a much more complex picture. Desire is heavily influenced by a mix of emotional connection, trust, open communication, and genuine confidence. Honestly, it's like a giant combination lock. Visual appeal might be one tumbler in that lock, sure, but trust, context, and communication are the other tumblers you actually need to open the door. Without all of them clicking into place, the lock just doesn't turn. And to be clear, we aren't talking about pickup tricks or manipulation here. These are evidence-informed insights into how attraction organically grows when both people feel truly seen.
Moving right along to Section 2. This is the big one: foundation, safety, and trust.
If you think of attraction like building a house, emotional safety is the concrete foundation that absolutely has to be poured before you build the walls. Emotional safety is a state where a person feels respected, accepted, and emotionally secure. This is arguably the strongest influence on the psychology of women's desire. Just think about the exact opposite for a second. When someone feels judged, criticized, or anxious around you, their brain goes into defense mode, flooding the body with stress hormones like cortisol. That is a massive biological barrier to intimacy. You literally cannot feel desire when your nervous system is screaming at you to protect yourself. But when a woman feels emotionally safe, those defenses drop. It creates this incredibly fertile ground where attraction can take root and actually survive.
So how do we actually build this critical safety? Well, it's not about grand, sweeping declarations. It's about small, consistent actions over time. On day 1, it might just be listening intently to a story without interrupting or checking your phone every 5 seconds. By week 3, it's about respecting boundaries, like saying, hey, no problem, when they just need a night to themselves without making them feel guilty for it. And by month 2, it's about keeping your promises and showing up. It's reliability. These little acts of genuine care, they stack up. Over time, they build an unbreakable emotional bond that signals to the other person's brain, hey, you are safe here.
And ultimately, that trust is what makes desire sustainable. Trust is the core foundation of lasting intimacy. When trust is ironclad, those psychological walls we all carry naturally come down. People feel so much more comfortable being vulnerable and expressing affection, which allows a much deeper connection to flourish. On the flip side, broken trust triggers an immediate defensive response. It makes emotional closeness nearly impossible. You know, trust isn't built on what you promise to do tomorrow, it's built on the quiet consistency of doing what you say you'll do today.
All right, on to Section 3, the power of being understood.
Once that foundation of safety and trust is locked in, your interpersonal skills become the catalysts for desire. Psychologists have known for a long time that feeling understood is deeply tied to relationship satisfaction. Step 1 is remembering the little things, like recalling her favorite coffee order or remembering to ask how that stressful meeting she mentioned last week went. Step 2 is paying real, focused attention during conversations, rather than just nodding while you wait for your turn to speak. And Step 3 is responding with genuine empathy. Actually, you don't even have to agree on absolutely everything, but doing these 3 things creates a profound sense that she is truly valued and heard.
This brings up a fascinating contrast between real life and romantic comedies. Movies love to sell us the idea that dramatic gestures and expensive gifts, standing outside a window in the pouring rain with a boombox, are the ultimate keys to romance. But in reality, being emotionally present is a real game changer. Actually listening and engaging with someone's thoughts builds a much more lasting desire than trying to buy their affection or put on a theatrical show. Being emotionally present takes real effort, and frankly, that effort is incredibly attractive.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, true confidence versus arrogance. In relationship research, confidence consistently ranks as a highly attractive quality. But man, is it frequently misunderstood. Healthy confidence is comfortable, it's authentic, and it's genuine. It's quiet. Contrast that with arrogance, which is incredibly loud. Arrogance constantly seeks validation, shows off, and pretends to be perfect. Psychology actually tells us that arrogance is just a mask for deep insecurity. True confidence doesn't need that constant external applause. It doesn't need to dominate the room to feel worthy. And that grounded, quiet authenticity is exactly what makes it so magnetic.
When you break down the signs of genuine confidence, it all comes back to security. It's someone who is secure in who they are. They can admit mistakes easily. They can look at you and say, you know what, my bad, I was wrong about that, without their ego shattering into a million pieces. They communicate honestly instead of playing games, and most importantly, they treat others with respect. We are naturally drawn to people who are secure enough to just be genuine. And notice how this loops right back to our foundation. True, quiet confidence makes the relationship feel incredibly safe.
And finally, our last stop, Section 5, Emotion transforms physical attraction. Consider this insight. Physical attraction and emotional connection influence each other rather than existing separately. This is perhaps the most surprising and honestly beautiful finding in relationship research. We usually think of physical attraction as this static, fixed thing. You either are attracted to someone physically or you aren't, right? But the evidence tells us that attraction is actually a dynamic, constantly shifting state. In healthy relationships, the emotional bond literally rewires how you perceive the other person, boosting the physical attraction at the exact same time. The mind and the body are talking to each other in real time.
You've probably experienced this yourself out in the real world. As closeness grows, someone who might have seemed perfectly ordinary to you at first glance can become incredibly, physically attractive as your emotional bond deepens. Their smile, their mannerisms suddenly carry this crazy magnetic pull. But the opposite is equally true. Someone who is initially stunning and conventionally attractive will literally become physically less appealing to you if they turn out to be disrespectful, dishonest, or emotionally unavailable. Emotion acts as a lens, altering how we perceive physical form. Good behavior creates a halo effect, while bad behavior shatters the illusion completely.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Look, there is no universal magic formula. Everyone is different, and desire is rarely explained by just one single factor. But we do know that the psychology of women's desire is deeply shaped by emotional safety, feeling understood, genuine confidence, and unbreakable trust. Understanding these evidence-based principles isn't about hacking attraction. It's about taking the focus off of surface-level traits and putting that energy into building much healthier, more respectful, and far more fulfilling relationships.
So, out of the 5 factors we discussed today, emotional safety, feeling understood, genuine confidence, trust, and the way emotion transforms physical attraction, which one actually surprised you the most? Take a second to really think about that, because understanding your own reactions to this psychology is the absolute first step in applying it to your own life. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today for this explainer. I hope you found these insights as fascinating as I did. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll see you next time.